I'm Melody. Welcome to Myanmar Today Review, and this is where we visit the top stories for this week from Myanmar Today. Here are the reports from our reporters from this week. Ministry of Education to reopen schools in July's first week. Monsoon sets in southern part of Myanmar. YRG and volunteers conduct anti-COVID-19 measures in Hlinethaya and Tamwe Townships. CITIC donates supplies to Jiaopiu locals. Myanmar expects to export 2.3 million tons of rice in this financial year. Before we get to the reports, let's take a look at the feature local news from this week. President of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, His Excellency U Myint, had a telephone conversation with His Excellency Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China, on Wednesday. During the telephone conversation, the two leaders focused their discussion on matters related to China's commendable achievement in successfully controlling the COVID-19, closer collaboration between the two countries in combating the pandemic, China's continued provision of medical supplies and other assistance related to COVID-19 response in Myanmar. Moreover, they also cordially discussed further enhancement of the existing friendly relations and expansion of cooperation based on the spirit of the Community of Shared Future, joint celebration of the 70th anniversary of the establishment of the diplomatic relations between Myanmar and China as the situation of COVID-19 improves, strengthening cooperation between the two countries in maintaining peace and stability at the border areas and combating the pandemic, continue cooperation in regional and international arenas. And I believe it's time now for first report. State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi held a video conferencing with the responsible people and students' parents about the reopening of the schools. Currently, the Ministry of Education announced that schools will be reopened at the first week of July, starting from KG to primary and secondary school to high school. Let's take a look at the report.
State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi held a video conferencing with U Lewin, Director General of Department of Basic Education, a representative from Myanmar Teachers Federation, and a representative representing parents of students on 19 May. In this video conferencing, they discussed matters relating to the reopening of primary, secondary, and high schools. According to the COVID cases, the students' parents are worried a lot about their children's education. Currently, the Ministry of Education announced that schools will reopen at the first week of July, starting from kindergarten to primary and secondary school to high school. Regarding the measure for reopening of the basic education schools, Donnie Lawin, a representative from Myanmar Teachers Federation, told those present at the video conferencing about the importance of health awareness between primary students. She said,
သူတို့အနေနဲ့နောက်ပြီး KG ကြတော့ဒါမူလာတန်းပိုင်းကိုပါ KG ကြတဲ့အခါကျတော့သူတို့ကပထမဆုံးကျောင်းကိုဒီဒဇိမ်းလေးစီကိုသူတို့ရောက်လာတာသူတို့အနေနဲ့တော်တော်ကြီးကြီးတဲ့တိုက်ပွဲကြီးကိုသူဝင်လိုက်တဲ့ပုံစံမျိုးဖြစ်နေတာအဲ့အတွက်သူကဒီစာသင်ခန်းထဲကိုရောက်
In most schools, the population of primary students is more than that of high school students. The primary students need to know more about the health awareness like social distancing and wearing masks. And when we look back to the curriculum of KG and other primary students, most of their courses are related with playing and communicating. So it will be difficult for students to wear masks. In my opinion, high school students have more knowledge about the health. So we should start opening the school from the secondary level, and the primary teachers can help the students measure the temperatures and others. The parents of the primary students should teach the health knowledge about washing hands and wearing masks, and it will make the children know how to do when they start school.
The state councillor also said about the current education and the reopening of the schools. She said,
ကျမတို့လက်တွေ့ကြကြအခုချိန်မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျောင်းတွေပြန်ဖွင့်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်လိုပြန်ဖွင့် Currently, the Ministry of Education has planned to reopen the schools. The education of the country cannot come to a stop in every situation, even in this global pandemic, COVID-19. The students will lose the desire to learn where they are far away from schools. It has a lot of bad effects on the society when the schools have been closed for long term. And being graduated doesn't mean being educated. The education system we want is not only being graduated, but also the good citizens we want who can work for their surrounding better than others from the education they had learned. And it will have difficulties for KG students to wear masks and follow social distancing guidance. But the teachers should teach the KG students about the health knowledge for washing hands and wearing masks by playing games. For online learning, we have a lot to discuss about it.
Uko Lewin, Director General of the Department of Basic Education, discussed about the school reopening in July.
We held a meeting for the school's reopening in July. We don't want to close the school for long term. When we talked about the opening of the schools, we want to open the schools step by step, starting from the kindergarten. Because as we look at the infection cases, the children are least, but it doesn't mean we don't have to care. We have to be cautious a lot, and we will try to support all the supplies that will be needed for the children as much as we can. We will try to prepare the schools, which can be safe for the children, to learn by joining hands with Ministry of Health and Sports.
In the current situation, the students and parents are worried a lot about the opening of schools. Schools and universities still remain closed since the first case of COVID-19 had been found out. And the Ministry of Education tried a digital free-to-air channel, Myanmar Education Channel, for the digital learning system.
That's the report on MOE to reopen schools in July's first week. According to the Department of Meteorology and Hydrology, Cyclone Amphan is ranked as the yellow level because there is no moving condition towards Myanmar. So, in effect of cyclonic storm, monsoon has entered the south of Myanmar, the Andaman Sea, and the south of Bay of Bengal within the last 48 hours.
Within the last 24 hours, southwest wind has entered the south of Myanmar, the Andaman Sea, and the south of the Bay of Bengal. Amphan, happening in the western part of the Bay of Bengal and its related part of the Middle West, has turned into extremely powerful cyclonic storm and has moved on northeast and northern part of it. Amphan is moving toward to the sea, where about 260 nautical miles west of the city of Mount Dor, 285 nautical miles west of Sittwe in Myanmar. According to the Department of Meteorology and Hydrology, DMH, Amphan is ranked as the yellow level because there is no moving condition towards Myanmar. So in effect of extremely powerful cyclonic storm, monsoon has entered the south of Myanmar, the Andaman Sea, and the south of the Bay of Bengal within the last 48 hours. Dr. Jomu, Director General of Department of Meteorology and Hydrology, DMH, said.
မုန်တိုင်းကြောင့်လို့ပဲမုတ်တုံမှာဒီအားကောင်းလာတဲ့နေရာမျိုးရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီမုတ်တုံကတော့ဒီမြန်မာနိုင်ငံတောင်ပိုင်းဆုံးတော့စာဝင်နေပေါ့နော်ဒီမြန်မာနိုင်ငံတောင်ပိုင်းတစ်ခုလုံးတော့ဒီနေ့မိုးရတဲ့နေထိုင်ရဆိုတော့တောင်ပိုင်းကတော့ဒီမုတ်တုံဝင်နေပြီလို့ပြောလို့ရတယ်
It is likely that the monsoon is likely to be intensified by the storm. Monsoon has started entering the southern part of Myanmar. The whole southern part is expected to enter within 2 days. We've estimated that the delta area is to be between 22nd and 27th of May, 28th of May to 2nd of June in middle part, and 3rd to 8th of June in northern part of Myanmar. Comparing to last year, the monsoon is not late significantly. This year, the storm has become as soon as the monsoon enters. The patterns of rainfalls are no longer in the regular accurate condition. The rainy days are reduced, but the rainfalls do not decrease. The risk of the floods and landslide is really as the heavy rains in a short period of time. These are the effects of climate change. The monsoon can leave across the country as soon as October. It is expected to begin in mid-September from the northern part of Myanmar. Just after the beginning of October, the monsoon is expected to withdraw from the whole country.
There is a heavy rainfall in Sakai region, Mandalay region, Magwe region, and Yangon region, Ayeyarwady region, Chin State, as well as Rakhine State. Nepido, Pakur region, Hlinethaya region, Chin State, Kayin State, and Mon State are facing widespread rainfalls and strong winds, while Shan State, Kayar State are fairly widespread rainfall and winds within 20 and 21st May, according to DMH. The strongest current movement is 40 miles per hour. Dewi Tense, an environmental activist, said.
19ရာစုကနေ20ရာစုဝင်ပြီးတဲ့ဒီတဲ့နောက်ပိုင်းမှာမုန်တိုင်းကြီးဆက်တိုက်နိုင်ငံတိုင်းလူမှာကလေးတို့ရှေ့တောင်အာရှမှာရောအနောက်နိုင်ငံတွေ EU တွေပါအကုန်လုံးဖြစ်ကြတယ်
After the late 19th and 20th century, the storms had continuously occurred in almost every country, not just Southeast Asia and Europe. All these disasters like storms, floods, earthquakes, snowfalls, and tornadoes are also quite severe. Some of them are really extreme as we've never experienced before. The natural disasters are even more serious when people can't control over extreme industrial development. In Myanmar, essential knowledge of natural disasters has increased in the wake of Cyclone Nargis.
I am Pyothi Ritu. This is news reporting from Myanmar Radio.
That's the report on monsoon sets in southern part of Myanmar. Moving on to our third report. The Yangon region government conducted anti-COVID-19 measures in Hlinethaya and Tamwe Townships with the help of the Ministry of Health and Sports to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Hlinethaya is also an industrial township full of working-class people and day laborers, and Tamwe is also a township full of big markets which are always crowded with the buyers and sellers. The Yangon regional government and volunteers in medical fields conducted anti-COVID-19 measures there, including some factories in Hlinethaya industrial zone and markets in those townships.
The Yangon regional government conducted anti-COVID-19 measures in Hlinethaya and Tamwe Township with the help of the Ministry of Health and Sports to prevent the spread of COVID-19. As Yangon's population is larger than other cities, Hlinethaya is also an industrial township full of working-class people and day laborers. Tamwe is also a township full of big markets which are always crowded with the buyers and sellers. As there are COVID-19 positive patients in both townships, the Yangon regional government and the volunteers in medical fields conducted anti-COVID-19 measures there, including some factories in Hlinethaya industrial zone and the markets of those townships. Mintu, Yangon region Lutto representative from Hlinethaya Township, spoke to my radio about anti-COVID-19 measures through the phone interview. He said,
The Yangon Region Public Health Department suggested us to conduct anti-COVID-19 measures and awareness campaign in the crowded townships. So they did first in Insing Township, and now we are carrying out anti-COVID-19 measures in Hlinethaya Township. We inspected 140,000 people in Hlinethaya Township, including 6 wards and 2 big factories, namely Sangyi and YJ. We always launch mass campaigns because Hlinethaya is full of working class people with a lot of markets and street hawkers. So we delivered the masks to all the sellers and the buyers in the markets, like the big markets like Binglong and Migua. We also fined 102 people who do not wear masks on 14 May. After taking actions against those people became aware about it and they started to wear the masks.
A few weeks ago, the Yangon regional government also carried out anti-COVID-19 measures in Insane Township, where over 45 COVID-19 patients have been found. Hlinethaya is one of the virus-affected townships where found out the COVID-19 patients. Utan A, who is the ward administrator of number 6 ward from Hlinethaya Township, spoke to MI Radio about anti-COVID-19 measures and how they are conducted. He said,
We carry out fever survey in the whole world from the building number 1 to number 95 with a total of 1,248 rooms and a population of over 20,000. As we know, 20,000 people is too many for all of us to finish in one day, so we have started surveys some since 15 May, and we are going to inspect those people from the morning to the evening. We had already delivered the medical record sheets from the Ministry of Health and Sports before the start of anti-COVID-19 measures. The people have to fill these medical record sheets with their household list. Then the volunteers and health workers will measure their temperature and check their health condition and travel history. Previously, there were 5 positive patients in Hlinethaya Township. We sent them to Weibaki Specialist Hospital, and the rest of all those family members are tested negative, but we told them to stay at home during these days. As the ward administrator, we are holding the meetings to inform the people of the plan to launch mass campaigns and spray the pesticides twice in a week. I really appreciate anti-COVID-19 measures by the COVID Prevention Committee and the Ministry of Health and Sports.
Ko Myo Aung, who participated in anti-COVID-19 measures in Tamwe Township, spoke to MI Radio about his difficulty during the previous lockdown.
I am very pleased with these anti-COVID-19 measures. Tamwe is one of the townships which includes in the list of semi-lockdown. During this semi-lockdown period, we have lots of difficulties. But we know that we have to follow these rules for the security of our health. I always keep in touch with the COVID-19 update news from the Ministry of Health and Sports. For me, whenever I have to go out, I always put on mask and bring hand gel with me. When I get back home, I clean myself outside. I thank Yangon region government and other health workers for working for us in the front line.
Now, hundreds of factories across the country are being reopened in line with the approval of the inspection team.
That's the report on how YRG and volunteers conducts anti-COVID-19 measures in Hlinethaya and Tamwe Townships. China International Trust and Investment Corporation, Myanmar, made its second phase donation for the locals in Tamwe Township in Rakhine State, especially for the healthcare workers in their fight against COVID-19. This time, CITIC Myanmar donated disposable medical masks, PPEs, and face shields for the healthcare workers. The donation ceremony was held at the Economic and Commercial Office of Chinese Embassy, attended by Wu Zaw-a-Mound, Rakhine Ethnic Affairs Minister, and other responsible persons. Willison will tell us the full story.
Till 19th of May, there is a report of 2 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Rakhine State. And according to the report by the Ministry of Health and Sports, the 2 virus-infected persons are returnees from Malaysia. And according to Wu Zaw-a-Mound, Rakhine Ethnic Affairs Minister of Yangon Region Government, the fight of COVID-19 in Rakhine State has just begun now. Therefore, with the aim to help the people of Rakhine in the fight against COVID-19, China International Trust and Investment Corporation, Myanmar, made its second donation for the people of Tamwe on 19th of May at Economic and Commercial Office of Chinese Embassy in Yangon, attended by Wu Zaw-a-Mound, Rakhine Ethnic Affairs Minister, Mr. Tang Shu-fu, Economic and Commercial Counselor of Chinese Embassy, and other responsible persons. The donation on 19 May is the second piece by CITIC Myanmar, and it included 25,000 of disposable medical masks and 350 PPEs and 650 face shields for the healthcare workers in Tamwe Township. Wu Zaw-a-Mound, Rakhine Ethnic Affairs Minister, said,
ဒီကနေ့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကမ္ဘာပေါ်မှာဒီကိုရိုနာဗိုင်းရပ်စ်ရောဂါပိုးကပ်ဘေးကြီးပေါ့နော်ကပ်ဘေးကြီးဟာတကမ္ဘာလုံးမှာဒါ
Today the world is facing the horror of this COVID-19 pandemic Fortunately, in Myanmar, we have only just nearly 200 cases and 6 deaths, and we are one of the most successful nations in the world when it comes to controlling the widespread of the virus. We are all together fighting against this battle. Now we have report of confirmed cases in Rakhine State already starting from 18 May, and the people with confirmed cases of COVID-19 are all returnees from Malaysia. Therefore, for the people of Rakhine, the fight has just begun. In order to fight this virus, infrastructure plays an essential role along with a good management, and we need the budget as well. In this time of need and crucial period, we are grateful to CITIC Myanmar for the donation for the people of Tamwe Township in support of their fight against COVID-19.
Speaking at the event, Mr. Tang Shufu, Economic and Commercial Counselor at the Chinese Embassy, said, as Myanmar and China share a long border and to strengthen the relation, after the report of COVID-19 in Myanmar, the government of China has been extending its helping hand to Myanmar in different forms, both with material and human resources in the fight against COVID-19. The Chinese companies in Myanmar are also doing their best in donating supplies for the fight against COVID-19. Speaking to ML Radio, Wu Esan, the representative of the Donation Receiving Committee of Tamwe Township, also said,
The COVID-19 နဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့ကုညီကယ်ဆယ်တွေလုပ်တယ်နောက်ဒီ facility quarantine center
As this is the pandemic which can spread fast in a short time, we are doing our best in Rakhine State using some schools and other educational buildings as quarantine centers. The social organizations from different groups are also active in Rakhine State along with NGOs. Some organizations are contributing toward financial donation. This is how we have been working to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in Rakhine State. Whatever we do, we need to work with good friends and good people. Only when we have good friends, then can we get good results of what we do. Moreover, only when we are truthful of what we do, then will the public accept us. The truth will prevail as long as the world exists.
This is Williamson for MI Radio.
That's the report on CITIC donate supplies to Tamwe locals. With the hope of exporting 2.3 million tons of rice in 2020 to 2021 financial year, the government is improving rice export system to receive export earnings, not to harm local rice consumption despite COVID-19 infection taking place in the country. Myanmar has exported about 2.5 million tons of rice every year since 2010 to 2011 financial year, with 2.3 million tons of rice last year. The government expected to export 2.3 million to 2.5 million tons of rice in this financial year. Until now, 1.4 million tons of rice has been exported, and 900,000 tons of rice are left to export. This report is by Zueman and Pietane.
With the hope of exporting 2.3 million tons of rice in 2020 to 2021 financial year, the government is improving rice export system to receive export earnings not to harm local rice consumption despite COVID-19 infection taking place in the country. Myanmar has exported about 2.5 million tons of rice every year since 2010 to 2011 financial year, with 2.3 million tons of rice last year. The government expected to export 2.3 million to 2.5 million tons of rice in this financial year. Until now, 1.4 million tons of rice has been exported and 900,000 tons of rice are left to export. COVID-19 is bringing local rice demand to rise. The government has also rice reserve and is handling rice export in a systematic manner. U Aung Tan U, chairman of Myanmar Rice Merchants Association, said,
The government already exported 1.4 million tons of rice in this year. It will have to export remaining 900 tons of rice in the next 7 months. About 120 tons of rice is required to export a month. We plan to export 1.5 million tons of rice together with reserved rice in April and May. Exporters have to carry out the rice export in cooperation with the Ministry of Commerce and Myanmar Rice Federation. 10% of rice reserve was allowed selling. Sustainable price for local rice farmers and local rice security have to be taken into consideration. Despite the outbreak of the COVID-19, we are striving to enjoy export earnings from the rice export. We have to buy the rice reserve in order to control the rice export.
In order to ensure sufficiency of rice in the country, 10% of export volume is needed to be kept as the rice reserve. It is learned that the Ministry of Commerce has to cooperate with rice associations so as to control export balance. The price of one basket of rice on arrival to the warehouse is worth 21,600 kyats. Export license is issued out only when 10% of export volume is sold as a rice reserve, and that contributes much toward local rice sufficiency. At the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak in Myanmar, consumer goods including rice were bought in bulk. At that time, rice demand was high, but in May, rice market became strangely cold. In Yangon rice market, 45,000 to 50,000 baskets of rice are needed a day. The rice demand rose to 150,000 baskets of rice a day. At that time, the officials of the government cooperated with the rice associations and had to deal with the market demand. Moreover, they had to discuss rice millers from Ayeyarwady and Bago regions to be able to avoid any rice shortage in the market. Kosote, owner of Yongale Rice Retail and Wholesale Shop from Hlinethaya Township said,
The current rice rate becomes cool at the beginning of the outbreak of the COVID-19. The sale force was good, but now it becomes cool. The order has been issued not to go out at night, and restaurants have been also banned. Some people bought rice back in bulk at the start of the virus outbreak. Now the stay-home restriction is still in effect, and the people don't buy in bulk again. And so the rice price has been stable. The prices of both kinds of rice, high quality and low quality, have been stable. This time last year, the rice rate was bricks. The price of this year does not exceed that of last year. The price 2,000 kyats of rice last year is now 2,200 kyats, but the current price of this year has been stable.
The governmental departments have cooperated with rice associations to stabilize the rice price since the start of the COVID-19 outbreak, creating the situation for the donors who can buy the rice as much as they can. The equal ground could be created between the growers and the sellers. The experts expected that the future world would see a rise of food demand. Myanmar is an agricultural country. Local experts predict that if Myanmar carries out agriculture and livestock systematically, it will have favorable market prospects. U Amtan, chairman of Myanmar Rice Merchants Association, said,
In particular, our country relies on agriculture. Our people need to try harder than the past in a bid to improve agriculture and livestock businesses. We always have opportunities because of being an agricultural country. While grasping our advantage, it is necessary for us to improve economy. Some Myanmar migrant workers in Malaysia and Thailand are working in agriculture, livestock, breeding, meat and fish sectors in those countries. If they apply their foreign experience in our country, agriculture and livestock breeding sector will be surely improved.
That's the report on Myanmar expects to export 2.3 million tons of rice in this financial year. Now to international news. President Xi Jinping said the Communist Party of China is willing to protect people's life and health at all costs, as it has always put people's interests first. President Xi, also General Secretary of the CPC, Central Committee, and the Chairman of the Central Military Commission, made the remarks in a panel discussion with fellow deputies from the delegation of Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region at the third session of the 13th National People's Congress on Friday. During a meeting, 5 deputies spoke on a variety of issues such as eradicating poverty, protecting the ecology of grassland, enhancing animal epidemic prevention, and promoting ethnic unity. President Xi exchanged views with these deputies.
中国共产党根基在人民， 血脉在人民，坚持以人民为中心的发展思想，无论面临多大挑战和压力，无论付出多大牺牲和代价，这一点都始终不渝，毫不动摇。人民至上，生命至上，保护人民生命安全和身体健康，我们可以不惜一切代价。
Premier Li Keqiang laid out a roadmap for China to overcome the obstacles set by the COVID-19 pandemic on Friday, when delivering a government work report which contained no specific economic growth targets for 2020, but included a raft of measures to support businesses and employment. Take a listen.
On the basis of comprehensive assessment of the current situation, we have made proper adjustments to the targets that we were considering before COVID-19 struck. This year, we must give priorities to stabilizing employment, ensuring living standards win the battle against poverty, achieve the goal to build a moderately prosperous society in all aspects. Over 9 million new urban jobs, a survey urban unemployment rate of around 6%, and a registered urban unemployment rate of around 5.5%. CPI increase of around 3.5%. More stable and higher quality imports and exports, and a basic equilibrium of the balance of the payments. The growth in personal income that is basically in step with economic growth. Elimination of poverty among all rural residents living below current poverty line and in all poor regions. Effective prevention and control of major financial risks. A further drop in energy consumption per unit of GDP and the discharge of major pollutants. Accomplishment of the 13th Five-Year Plan.
That's all with the news and reports on Myanmar Today Review. Tune in every Saturday on MITV at 8:30 p.m. for Myanmar Today Review. Until next time.